Good evening and welcome. You're watching the 8 o'clock news. I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. Let's dive in straight to the headlines. CBSE Class 12 board examinations cancelled. Prime Minister says no compromise on health and safety of students. They will have the option to take the exam later. But what about the other state boards? To vaccinate all this year, Centre sets a new goal. 1 crore doses a day by early August, says the Centre, but needs 68 lakh jabs a day in June, July. How will that happen? Centre's reassurance on preparing for COVID in kids. There won't be any shortcomings in preparation, says the ministry. Ahmedabad sees almost 10,000 cases in children. Death count for the first time in 35 days is below the 3,000 mark. Is Team Yogi in trouble? Well, discussions are on in a two-day review meeting that is going on by senior leaders from Delhi in BJP in UP, trying to understand, was the COVID management done well in the state of Uttar Pradesh? Punjab Chief Minister faces party works on a patch-up plan. This while Congress team meets Navjot Singh Sidhu and will also meet Captain Next. The Met Department says monsoon will be 101% normal, set to reach Kerala on the 3rd of June. The big story at this hour, CBSE Class 12th board examinations now stand cancelled. The Prime Minister held a meeting, said to be his personal intervention, where he said that the health of students is of paramount importance and that will remain to be the key agenda. However, there's no clarity on what exactly will be the way forward on how these calculations will take place. There might be a case, however, that students will be allowed to take examinations if they wish, but also questions now at this point arriving on what about other state board examinations. And Akhilesh joins us for the very latest on that. Akhilesh, this has come as a huge relief for several students, some worry as well, as not very sure over what exactly the protocol is going to be on calculation of these marks. But the biggest worry at the moment is that some state boards have already announced examination. What happens to them?
Well, those exams will continue, of course, because they come under the purview of the states, and states have already announced, some like Haryana, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat and Uttar Pradesh. In fact, they have changed the format, and this decision today by the central government about the CBSE exam is of course surprising and bold, and of course I will call it a populist decision, because most of the states, they have given their advice in the last meeting with the education minister, saying that the exam should take place. This is what was disclosed by the education minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank on that day, and he has already informed that to the Supreme Court that some decision will be taken. So this is very surprising, and I would call it a populist decision, because many students were not in favor of holding the examinations, and they were also arguing that the format should be changed. So in that scenario, I believe that it's a populist decision. Of course, there were restrictions before the government, because we know that while the situation in northern India is improving, there are some states in southern part of the country where the micro containment zones or local lockdown is still in force. So students or their parents, they will have difficulty if the exams are held. That is why the Prime Minister was very keen that safety and security of the students is paramount, and there should be no compromise on that. But of course, some certain questions remain unanswered, like what happens to the admission to the colleges, because we know in DU, Delhi University, there's a higher cutoff marks, and it's a admission based on the marks. So what will happen to that? And also about the competitive exams like NEET and JEE, what will happen to that?
Also, those planning to apply in international universities, what happens to them as well, all really boils down to how the calculation of marks will be done. Because remember, CBSE still remains to be a large chunk, but not the whole thing really in the country. So let's get in a word from some students now. We've got Yashraj Sharma joining us from Shriram School in Gurugram. We've got Sinchan joining us from the Shamrock Senior Secondary School in Mohali, Punjab. So we'll get both a sort of a metro and a non-metro perspective as well. Also, Jitin Chawla is joining us on the broadcast tonight. Yashraj, to you first. Good, bad, ugly. How do you see this decision?
I personally think it's a brilliant decision. I wholeheartedly support it, and I know for a fact that all my friends do as well. From the perspective of like an international applicant, there are many factors that go into play. It's not just that we need a 95 or above or a 98 or above to get our admission. Most of us have gotten unconditional offers. So most of us are pretty much in the safe. We just will get a high school diploma and can apply for our visas. However, there are a bunch of universities, especially in the UK and the Europe, which give offers on the basis of you needing to get a particular mark. And without written exams, we don't know what in those countries will follow. So it really comes down to how sympathetic they are to our condition and, you know, what they decide in the end.
Right. Sinchan, do you feel the same? Sinchan, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Do you feel the same? Are you happy that exams are cancelled?
So, ma'am, I feel that the very reason why we demanded cancellation in the first place was because we wanted to clear out this air of confusion. I still feel that there exists a confusion currently as well, for the very reason because we haven't been able to understand what will be the assessment procedure. Cancellation of exams is not the final step, it's the first step. The second or the next step should be a decision on how the cancellation procedure should work. The center and the state have said that there will be two basic methods which they might follow. The first being assessing the students on the basis of their last 3 years scores, and the second being an internal assessment. I still feel that the latter is a better option because of two basic arguments. The first being that we have been able to use this procedure last year as well, and we have been able to use this procedure in terms of 10th standard. So, which basically allows us to understand the loopholes or the shortcomings of this procedure so that we can work efficiently. Therefore, we should adopt this procedure rather than devising an entire new ideology and proliferating and practicing this same. So, I think that the government
what
should
I'm hearing from you students is that largely you guys are happy with what the decision is so far, but still need some clarity over what the way forward is going to be. And that way forward, Jitin Chawla, is not just restricted to this. Now, a lot of people saying that, well, this will at least for 1 year take the focus of sort of rounding up your entire education life with the score that comes out in 2 board examinations alone.
So I have 3 main pointers on this. One is, of course, there has to be a structured mechanism. It has to be done fast, otherwise this entire thing loses relevance. A number of students have applied to outside India also, so these guys are waiting for the results. In fact, countries like Netherlands have already told us that if you cannot submit by this day, then the result is invalid for this year. And some countries like universities in US and Canada are still pretty flexible about it, but still
So you want this assessment to happen quickly, that's one.
Second is in the Indian universities. So like DU has been long using percentage. So this year there was a if and but about using CUCET. Some private universities have already conducted. They have already done their test. So last year also there were private universities which even started classes June end, whereas a state university was doddering till the end of October, and they were not able to start classes properly.
Right.
So my this thing would be that this is the time to get their act together. Already, National Testing Agency is conducting a national exam, so that can be used as a base, and already like more than 50 universities have signed on to it. But a university like DU also should sign on to it so that children are in clear, and they should do it right. I mean, in quickly in some time. Because it might still take for the schools to come out with their percentage. The
the written exam, the online exam thing will happen, and I think that can be used by universities like DU also. So that is second. Third thing is there has to be a uniformity. So if a state board is doing the exam versus somebody is not doing the exam, there is a lot of mishmash. So I think there has to be a uniformity in the way the boards will function all across. So
we still waiting to hear from the state boards actually, because the news has just come in. We wait to hear from them on what their reaction to this is going to be. The basic understanding would be that if this has happened in the centre, at least the BJP ruled states are going to be quick to follow. What happens to the rest is something that we'll have to be watchful for. Thank you all for joining us tonight, and good luck to all your students. I'm sure there are more questions at this point, but we hopefully will be getting more answers to that as days progress, and we'll be bringing that to you right here on NDTV. All right, moving on, but staying with the issue of kids at this point, where nearly 10,000 children catching the coronavirus in the month of May in Maharashtra's Ahmednagar. The state has started taking extra steps now to try and minimize the impact of possible third wave of COVID-19 that may impact children, remember, as is being discussed. Let's tell you now in this next report, how exactly is the state preparing?
Nearly 10,000 children below the age of 18 tested positive in Maharashtra's Ahmednagar district in the month of May alone, triggering the question, are these the first signs of a pediatric wave of COVID?
नगर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में पिछले 2 महीने में अप्रैल और मई में ओवरऑल पॉजिटिविटी ज़्यादा थी. उस कंपैरिजन में 8 से 10% नॉर्मल कोर्स में बच्चों का भी इसमें पॉजिटिविटी रेट 8 to 10% तक था. इसमें कोई ऐसे मेजर सीरियस कोई इंसिडेंसेस नहीं थे, लेकिन इस वायरस की एक स्प्रेडेबिलिटी की वजह से पूरी फैमिली पॉजिटिव होती थी.
State Health Ministry says percentage of children affected by COVID has not changed much. According to data, between January and May this year, 4.1 lakh children or young adults between the ages of 0 and 20 got infected. This translates to 10.79% of total cases. Between March and December last year, 1.96 lakh children were infected. In other words, 10% of children or young adults in this segment were infected.
अगर हम देखें कि एडमिशन मेन कोविड बड़ी फैसिलिटीज में जहां बच्चे भी दाखिल हो रहे हैं, बहुत छोटी प्रोपोर्शन परसेंट में, जैसे हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं तो हर तरह के सिनेरियो के ऊपर नजर रखते हुए प्रिपेयरनेस को पुश किया जा रहा है. वी रीअश्योर यू कि पीडियाट्रिक पॉपुलेशन को कोविड के लिए जो जरूरत है वो उसका बंदोबस्त होगा.
Fortunately, the fatality rate in children is just 0.07%.
What we see in pediatric population, this population lacks the specific receptor, which is essential to help the virus to bind with the host and multiply. So, due to lack of this specific receptor, we are saying that the serious disease due to COVID-19 is very rare amongst this pediatric population.
Experts say that the parents need not worry, however also warn against letting the guard loose. The government also says that in case the third wave comes and it hits to children, it is fully prepared. With Sagar Dusal in Ahmednagar and Rajendra Dayalkar in Mumbai, this is Purva Chitnis for NDTV.
The government is set to conduct a 4th national sero survey to monitor the spread of COVID-19. The focus this time around in the 4th chapter will be on children and those in rural areas. Happening, remember, as a preparation for a potential third wave of infections. The survey will be led by the ICMR, that's the Indian Council of Medical Research, and will take place in June with 28,000 samples, 14,000 from adults and children over the age of 6 will be analysed, 14,000 will be for the rest. Now, the samples of children comes amid global concerns that the virus is targeting kids as it mutates, and several countries, including Singapore, have already reported cases amongst younger children and citizens. And remember, India's third sero survey, well, that was conducted in December-January 2020. That had found that 21% of kids aged between 10 and above were actually COVID positive. All right, and talking about those figures, looking at kids first and then overall, let's give you an overall wrap-up of how COVID is looking like in the country at this point. 1,27,000 new COVID cases. That's the lowest number really that we've seen since 9th of April. The country is now witnessing a drop in cases as we continue to battle the second wave. But if you look at deaths, they are low as well. The last time we reported deaths that low, that is below 3,000 mark, was actually in April, towards the end of that month. And in 16 months of the pandemic, 36% of the deaths in May. That means that 1,20,042 deaths have come in the May of 2021 alone. Those deaths worrying. And positivity rate, well, that's showing currently a downward trend as well. Again, with the caveat that there are certain states that continue to show a rise in numbers. And the government, they have said that there is no shortage of vaccines at this point. And they claim that by mid-July, early August, there will be enough doses to vaccinate 1 crore people every day.
We have to remember that our vaccination is being ramped up. And by December, we hope to have the whole country vaccinated. If we were not producing vaccines, imagine where would we be? So there is no shortage of vaccines. The shortage is what you feel if you want to vaccinate the country within a month.
And Vishnu joins us for the very latest on this. Vishnu, government still in denial. They first said that they will be vaccinating all adults by the end of the year. Now 1 crore a day. How does that really add up?
Well, I think the key question is how exactly does that actually add up? I'm not sure the government is in denial. They've made these claims very clearly. All adults will be vaccinated by the end of December. Now, let's just see how that's going to happen. And let's see if they can actually achieve that, because if they do, it will be one of India's greatest achievements. If all adults by the end of December have to be vaccinated, that means there needs to be 153 crore jabs between the 1st of August and the 31st of December. Why 1st of August? Because it is only by the 1st of August that you will have vaccine supplies in the numbers that you actually require. So that's point number one. Between the 1st of August and 31st of December, you need 153 crore jabs. Jabs which you will need presently in the month of June and July, 41.39 crores. This is based on the current projections on availability as well, lower than what it is later on in the year. So that's the monthly look. Let's take a look at the number of doses which are required in the month of June and July. Every single day, how many doses do you require? At the very minimum, this needs to go up as you get more vaccines. So 67.8 lakh doses every single day needed in June and July. Now that's a number. You'd be asking, so yeah, so it's a number, why can't we do it? Well, let's give you a reality check. The average doses, right, over the last few days, taking an average, today it was just 24 lakh a day. 24 lakhs is what we are approximately being able to do. We need to step that up to 67.8 lakh doses, right, needed in June and July, and that needs to go up even further for us to be able to reach this incredible number that we are seeking of 153 crore jabs between August and December. And I'll tell you what, Sonal, very, very briefly. There are 3 vaccines out there right now, as you know, Covaxin, Covishield and Sputnik belatedly. The government has also said that there are 6 other vaccines in the pipeline. And when they say that there are going to be 2 billion doses by the end of December, they are counting the doses from these 6 vaccines under development as well. There's only one problem. These 6 vaccines haven't been cleared for use as yet. We hope they are, and we hope they work. But the government is banking heavily on these as well. These have still not been cleared for emergency use authorization.
Okay, waiting and counting down to those days then. Thanks, Vishnu, for joining us with the very latest. Let's shift our focus to some politics now. Did UP government and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath fail to handle the COVID crisis? Well, this is not the opposition, but many in the BJP now asking the question. In fact, this question followed a series of meetings in Uttar Pradesh. 2 BJP leaders from Delhi met with the Chief Minister and his deputies and other party leaders and tried to do what is called a review exercise. Remember, UP elections are next year. So far, sources have rubbished any speculation of change in the top leadership, but our next report will explore more.
Unprecedented meetings in Lucknow by top BJP leaders from Delhi. Just 8 months before Uttar Pradesh's all-important assembly election. That will set the tone for 2024's Lok Sabha polls. The Delhi team, led by Organisation Secretary B.L. Santosh and UP in charge and former Union Minister Radha Mohan Singh, met separately with Chief Minister Aditya Nath on Monday and his 2 deputies, Dinesh Sharma and Keshav Maurya, and other ministers and MLAs over 2 days. On the agenda, sources say, an appraisal of Aditya Nath's performance as Chief Minister, including the intense outrage over the UP government's response to the COVID surge, including complaints from within the party. An image Mr. Aditya Nath has tried to correct by multiple tours across the state. The other agenda, assessing what went wrong in the recent Panchayat elections, where the BJP suffered losses in strongholds like Varanasi, the Prime Minister's constituency, and Gorakhpur, the Chief Minister's home ground.
मेरे संगठन महामंत्री हैं और संगठनात्मक दृष्टि से बैठक पर चर्चा हुई। अब 2022 में हम लोग फिर एक ऐतिहासिक विजय प्राप्त करेंगे। 2022 300 पार।
In the last 2 months, several BJP MPs and MLAs have hit out against their own government.
विधायकों की हैसियत क्या है? हम ज़्यादा बोलेंगे तो देशद्रोह राजद्रोह हम पे भी तो लगेगा।
Including this MLA from Sitapur, just 80 kilometers from Lucknow, who was replying to questions on the government's handling of the COVID pandemic. All of this has given rise to intense speculation. Is the BJP looking for a change at the very top in UP?
While nothing has been said on record about this issue, sources have told NDTV that at the moment there is no move to change the top leadership in Uttar Pradesh, including either the Chief Minister or his 2 deputies. One of the reasons is that assembly elections to the state are just about 8 or 9 months away.
There is also speculation about a possible role in the party or government for A.K. Sharma, a former IAS officer close to Prime Minister Modi, who is now a member of the Legislative Council in UP. Mr. Sharma is credited with single-handedly managing the COVID crisis in Varanasi, the PM's Lok Sabha seat. A cabinet expansion is also pending in the state for many months now. With Akhilesh Sharma in Delhi and Vineet Verma, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
And questions of leadership not just in BJP's UP unit, but in Congress's Punjab unit as well. The Congress continued firefighting today as well to try and appease the rebel MLAs who have questioned the leadership of Captain Amrinder Singh.
Navjot Sidhu, one of Amrinder Singh's most vocal dissidents within the Congress, meeting 3-member panel led by Rajya Sabha MP Mallikarjun Kharge in Delhi.
पंजाब के लोगों की डेमोक्रेटिक ताकत जो सरकार को जाती है वो लोगों तक वापस जानी चाहिए। पंजाब के सच और हक की आवाज मैंने हाई कमांड को बुलंद आवाज में बताई है। जीतेगा पंजाब, पंजाब को जिताना है।
At least 28 leaders have met the party bosses about the Punjab Chief Minister less than a year before elections, prompting the High Command to appoint a panel to defuse the crisis. Congress panel is meeting MLAs, ministers, state president and the Chief Minister. Among the MLAs' complaints, issue of sacrilege cases, bureaucratic control and underrepresentation of scheduled castes. The panel has hinted at no change in leadership.
28 लोग मिले, उन्होंने कहा बाकी शिकायतें, ये काम हुआ नहीं हुआ, दूसरे तीसरे ये सब चलते हैं। जिससे अपेक्षाएं ज़्यादा होती हैं उससे शिकायतें भी ज़्यादा होती हैं। किसी ने देखिए वहाँ भी किसी ने नेतृत्व परिवर्तन की बात कभी नहीं की।
Riding on a thumping victory in local body polls in February, the Chief Minister announced that he has fulfilled 85% of manifesto promises.
We have today completed 85% of our manifesto. This is a record for India.
The Chief Minister, who is likely to attend the Congress panel on dissidents later this week, is expected to share some sort of dossier on the disgruntled MLAs.
Punjab goes to polls next year and Congress is expected to bring some organizational changes by retaining Captain Amrinder Singh as its campaign face. But pacifying an ambitious Navjot Singh Sidhu and estranged MLAs is not going to be an easy ride for the party high command. In Chandigarh, Mohammad Ghazali for NDTV.
Moving on, in this year's GDP figures, agriculture seemed to be the only silver lining. And if the Met Department's monsoon forecast is to hold true, there might be more cheer around the corner.
The monsoon missed its date with Kerala today and is running 2 days late. But apart from that, the outlook is, well, sunny. The Met Department today announced that this monsoon will be 101% normal, which means on average it'll rain over 88 centimeters.
जो मॉनसून कोर जोन है वहाँ एबोव नॉर्मल रेनफॉल होने का हम उम्मीद कर रहे हैं और इसमें जो रेनफॉल प्रेडिक्शन हम किए हैं वो लगभग मोर देन 106% ऑफ लॉन्ग पीरियड एवरेज है। एबोव नॉर्मल हम इसको बोलते हैं जब 106% से ज्यादा होगा।
The monsoon has been above normal over the past 2 years with a surplus of 9% in 2020 and 10% in 2019. However, the fine print in the forecast could be a worry for different regions. Overall, the 4 months of the monsoon is predicted to be normal in North and South India, over 106% expected in Central India. However, it's likely to be below normal in the East and Northeast with less than 95% rainfall. However, this month the amount of rainfall is expected to be normal with areas of the East, Northeast and Central India getting a fair share. This is Divya Wadhwa for NDTV.